Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to kick off the new year with our very first ScholarCast with our very own Helene Scott. Before we get started, I want to go over some housekeeping notes for you all. We do have a handout section underneath the menu tab. If you click on that, there are two important handouts for you to take along with you with your membership. One is our social media handles, and the other one are important emails and links to NSCS platforms, portals, and such. We are recording the session for those who could not attend to view back at another date, as well as yourselves. We're going to be going over a lot of information, so throughout the presentation, there is a Q&A box where you can enter your questions in there. Helene's got a lot of questions for you all, so I'll go ahead and answer those questions that she has for you in that questions box as well. Without further ado, I would like to introduce everyone to Helene Scott. Helene had transferred a 25-year human resource career into having her very own executive coaching practice. She partners with organizations to help leaders navigate change and challenges and overcome obstacles for better outcomes. Organizations and individuals are unique, and one-size-fits-all solutions don't work. Through experience and customization, Helene helps her clients create paths of intuition and purpose to reach their desired outcomes. Once clients can identify obstacles, respond thoughtfully to challenges, and understand how their styles influence their effectiveness, and moving past those barriers is achievable. She is certified DISC facilitator, helping executives and their teams create common language to remove obstacles and overcome conflicts to make results harder to attain. Helene has a master's degree in organizational psychology from Columbia University. She holds multiple coaching certifications and is certified DISC facilitator and Colby consultant. Helene is engaging. She has an engaging, personalized, and flexible facilitation style that creates a strong repertoire with her clients, her audience, which leads to learning, confidence building, and the applications of new skills. And to top it all off, she is a part of the NSCS family. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Helene.
Hi, everyone. I also neglected to say, or to prompt Courtney to say, I am also an NSCS mom. So my son's a member. So I am really, really excited to be here with all of you. I want to help in helping you figure out how to really set yourself apart from everyone else. So there we go. I was just going to say, Courtney, I don't see the slides. So we're going to talk about the importance of LinkedIn and how you should be using it now to help you prepare for your future. Okay, so let's get to it. Courtney, I'm going to be asking you to flip pages. Thank you. All right, so let's start off with, why should you have a LinkedIn presence? Why is that important? Well, first of all, when you think about it, LinkedIn is a social media platform for looking for jobs, basically. It is for a professional group of people. It is where people show who they are from a professional standpoint. When you are looking for a job, you're looking for an internship, you're looking to build networks within the professional field that you want to get into, LinkedIn is where you're going to do it. You need to have a presence. And there's certain things that you need to do to build that presence. And that's what I want to talk about with you today, and why all of this is so important. We're going to talk a little bit about the hows. I'm going to give you some information, and then I want you to ask questions about anything that you find daunting. I know that you probably are on, or I don't know, I'm assuming you are on multiple different platforms. So getting into LinkedIn and figuring out might be just the mechanisms of it, might be less daunting to you, but knowing how to use it and how to build your presence is something that I feel that I can help you with because for many, many years, I did recruiting as part of my HR career. So let's talk about your picture. When you are putting your picture on LinkedIn, you want to make sure you have the most professional headshot you could have. Does that mean that you need to go out and pay for someone to do your headshot? No, you don't. Ask someone to take a picture of you. Have it with like a muted background, depending on what you're doing. If the career you're doing involves being outdoors, let's say in the mountains, then yeah, you want something in the mountains. If it is something else, you want a picture that looks really professional. You don't need to have a full page picture or a full body picture. Just a headshot is like from here up, okay? You don't want any other people in your picture. You don't want children in your picture. You don't want friends in your picture, and you sure don't want to be sitting there with a glass of beer. So, or a bottle for that matter. I have seen people use LinkedIn like they use Facebook or like they use some other platforms. They're there with their children. This is not what that is, okay? Think of it this way. This is your pre-resume. This is your electronic resume. So you want to present the best picture possible by having a professional picture of you. Now, in LinkedIn, they have a spot where you put in your about. And I will tell you, even when I started my business, so before that, I didn't have an about. I never filled that piece in. That was a miss. When I started my business, I did my about, and that was really complex for me. It's really hard to talk about yourself. So what you want to do is think about your about. What is it that sets you apart from everyone else? What are those experiences that you've had that set you apart from others in your career track? Okay. What are those things that you do that you want to highlight? Like, for instance, your membership in NSCS. If you are part of your chapter leadership, definitely you want to highlight that. If you are not part of your chapter leadership, think about how you could get more involved. First of all, you're going to get more from it personally, more growth, more professional growth from being part of the leadership within your chapter, but also that is how you differentiate yourself from others. So think about what you want to put in there. Do you speak multiple languages? Put that in. Are you regularly on the dean's list? Put that in. Do you do volunteer work because it's important to you to give back? Put that in. Are you looking for a career in something because of something that happened to you in the past that makes you want to do this? For instance, I was talking to someone many years ago. I worked at a biotech, and we had someone who came in for an interview pretty newly out of school, and they wanted to be there because we were working on personalized medicine. So in other words, for people who, let's say, had cancer, rather than having the standard chemo that everyone got, they would run DNA tests and do chemo specific to that person's chemical makeup, their DNA, any other factors, and they had better results with that. This person wanted to come work for us knowing what we were doing because they had just lost a family member to cancer. So when you could link that, like after experiencing the loss of a loved one, I chose this career track. Those are the things that you need to be careful how you say it, because you want to say it in a very professional way, but those are the things that are going to make a difference. You want to talk about what it is that sets you apart. What skills do you have that set you apart from every other student? Think about when you start looking for an internship. And by the way, I highly recommend everyone does at least one internship. it is really important to, first of all, it's a learning opportunity for you, but employers do look at that. They will look at your LinkedIn. Some of them will even look at some other sites, some social media sites, to see what you have up. And I know that there have been times when people have been disqualified because some of the things that they had up on some of their other social media presence. But let's talk about this one again. Sorry, let's bring it back. So you want to be able to talk about what you've done, how you set yourself apart, why what you do is important, and why a company should hire you, and why an internship should be an opportunity for you. What is it about you that's different than everyone else who's applying for that internship? Why is it that you are the person? So that's what you put in your about. The rest of it is more like a resume where you put in any work that you've had, but in your about, you're going to put any clubs you're involved in. Again, any work that you have done that has set you apart, put that in your about. And again, I strongly, strongly recommend that you apply for internships and take an internship that is relevant to what you're going to school for. Okay? Now, the next piece is, how do you build your LinkedIn presence? That can be daunting for many. People have said to me, I don't really have anything to share, like I haven't written anything. You don't have to. So go on Google, put in things that are relevant to your career choice, okay? Look for different articles that resonate with you. And now that you've had your LinkedIn site set up, you have your about, you have your picture, start posting. So you're going to put in the link. It's going to show the article. You could put in a few comments like, read this article and I appreciate blah, 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 blah about the article, and start posting that. What you want to do is start building your presence, and the only way to do that is to be active. If you post and someone responds, I strongly recommend that you respond to them. You want to make sure that you are having as much activity as you can, because that builds your presence. Okay? Now, if you have something that you've written and you want to post it, feel free. You want to make sure that you're putting information up, again, that is relevant to what you want to do, the career track that you are choosing. And the more you post, the more people respond, the more you respond to it, the higher your algorithm goes. So I'm going to ask a question. Why do you think it's important to raise your algorithm? And I'm going to give it a second, and then Courtney's going to read some of your responses. But why do you think that is so important? And I'm hoping people are responding.
We're waiting for them to come up with it. You guys can utilize the questions box as reports. Let's see. Ooh, they're coming in now. Yay. April says so you can stay in the news feed. Stephanie says increase reach. Madeline says to catch the attention of recruiters, industry professionals more easily.
Mm-hmm.
Julia says network.
Mm-hmm.
This one, sorry, my screen's being funny, gets your attention, or gets you attention, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what happens is, and if anyone else comes through, Courtney, feel free to stop me or say it after.
Communication puts you on the map. Communication puts you on the map.
Yes, exactly. The higher your algorithm goes, the more people are going to start seeing you. You want to join groups. So you want to think about what groups are relevant to you and to what you want to do, and join. Sometimes you have to ask to join. Mostly they just accept you in. Join those groups and then post within those groups. Then the more you post, or the more you respond to someone's posts, and then they respond back to you and you respond back to them. You raise your algorithm and you are all correct. People will see you more. People will recognize you. When you post, it goes out to more. You want to post within your groups. I would look for the NSCS group and post within that. I would search, because there's a search button or a search area. Put in NSCS member and look at all the people that have that in their LinkedIn and start reaching out to them and say, hey, so you're a NSCS member. I'm an NSCS member too. Nice to meet you.
Is there something else I can help with?
Yikes. My computer is thinking I'm asking for some help, and I'm not. Sorry about that. So that's really all you have to do to start getting traction. It's really important that you build your algorithm, that you build your groups, because this is your business networking site. Most people get jobs not just when they blindly post to a position, but when they actually know someone who could help them to get a position. So the more people you know, the better for you. Okay. Are there any questions about this?
We did have a couple questions come through. I think you touched based on it a little bit, but Shannon did ask, what if we don't have any work experience or experience in working or volunteering? I'm going to add a follow-up question to that one, and it is, could students who don't have, or even alumni who don't quite have that work experience or club experience, use their coursework or special projects that they do in school and use that as a work experience? Because technically they could take aspects of that into the work world experience.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have work experience, then what you could do is currently enrolled at for in this major, graduating at this time, NSCS member. You put all of that in there. You can start building. And the fact that you're still in school, some people have work experience, some don't. That's okay. Start building out your LinkedIn. So what'll happen is you'll have down that, you'll have your education in there, and you talk about it. If you've done any special projects where you've gotten a great result, put that in. If you are, like I said earlier, if you're on the Dean's List regularly, put that in. Put all of that in your LinkedIn. And then after your job, when you start adding things over time, you can remove some of the other information in there. It's not evergreen. It doesn't have to live there forever. You could start pulling some of that out. But if you have nothing right now to say, I currently work, that is fine. That should not be an obstacle to keep you from setting up your LinkedIn.
We have a question about the section, the section part that you were talking about completing the About Me or the About You section. There has been a lot of controversy or debate around that, of the About section, meaning that some say simple, to the point, short, third person statements is what's going to catch the eye of recruiters. How would you aid those who are confused about that typical topic of the never-ending debate of summary?
Yeah. So this is not an objective statement on a resume, nor is it your resume where you never say I on a resume. It's bullet, it's short information, okay? There's only a certain amount of letters or characters that you could have in the about. But you want to highlight things, you can have full sentences. If you want, check out mine as an example of doing things a little differently. You don't have to do what everyone else does. So you want to set yourself apart. I would not have very personal things in there unless, like I talked about, that one person who applied to the biotech. That's something that's really specific to why they went into that kind of engineering, right? And why they wanted to work there. So you can do things differently. Another thing, oh, I just thought of it. Thank you for the question. Another thing you might think about doing is look at either jobs that you would want or companies you want to work for, and go in and look at people's LinkedIns and see what they have in their abouts and how they do it. Some tracks you could have more specific, and some you probably would have more bullets. I think it depends. Like if you're going for communications and you want to be a journalist, you probably need to have more in the way you write things to grab people and bring them in than someplace else or another type of track where you're just going to do fact. So it depends. Everything always depends, right? But look at what other people are doing. I know that there's a debate. There's the debate about resumes. Do you need an objective? Don't you need an objective? Here's what I say on that. It doesn't matter. As long as you set yourself apart and that your experience speaks for itself. So some people have objectives, other people have objectives that are just so generic that it really doesn't matter and few people look at it. It's not going to get you the job and it's not going to keep you from the job. But if you have a company that has an interest in you, they're going to look at your LinkedIn, and you should definitely have your about filled out, and it should be relevant to the field that you're going into. If you're going into nursing, you should have in there about your desire to be a patient advocate or your desire to help people who are sick, and you do it through this or that, you know? So make it personalized to what you're doing. Did I answer your question? Who asked that question?
It went away because I replied, thank you. Sorry. But it was a very good question. It was
It was a
very.
great question. Thank you.
Now, this one is more along the lines of the topic of where you were talking about presence,
Yeah.
and posting articles that they read online or whatnot that they found really interesting. Could reposting other individuals' posts with commenting, instead of just hitting the regular repost and it shares away, but you repost it with your own thoughts to it, could that be considered as a presence as well?
Yeah, that's a good start. Whatever you do, you want to start doing something. So if someone posts something and you like it, you can then use that with your own comments, like saw this, thought this was great because blah, 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 and then repost it. My preference, and honestly, there's no right or wrong, it's just my preference. Like if I want to do something on leadership, I might go out on Google and say latest articles on leadership strategies. And then I might put that into my post and then say, so this great article on Harvard Business Review, because it's almost always Harvard Business Review for me. So this great post on Harvard Business Review, and this is what I like about it. Or this is what I see in my practice, right? So it's what works for you. There's no wrong. It's as long as what you're doing is related to your career and what you're hoping to do.
Oh, very well said. One more follow-up question is the very popular question of where to put your NSCS membership other than the summary.
Yeah, so I would put it in the area where you put in your job, right? If you don't have a job, then I would talk about your education there and also have it underneath that. Member since. If you've been a member since 2022, I would say NSCS, well, actually I'd spell it out, National Association of Collegiate Scholars, member since 2021 or since 2022. Again, there's no right or wrong, but you want to make sure people see it. So if you don't have a lot that you're putting in, and right now you're banking on your education, you want that highlighted up front. So you put it in your about, and then you could put it in as where most people put their experience.
I've had it everywhere. I've had it under volunteering. I've had it under the education, work experience. I've had it everywhere in my summary. So it just depends on where you feel comfortable having it. You can have it under certifications.
Yeah, you want to make sure that people see it. That's the big thing. You want people to see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Christopher says honors and rewards. Yes.
Yes. And you can put it on top.
All right.
Anyone else?
We do have a question, but I'm not sure if that person's online anymore, but they did request how to apply for internships. Um, there's multiple different ways to apply for internships in a broader sense. Where would you on LinkedIn look for those?
I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I do.
Okay,
I've had plenty of, I'm actually gonna come on camera real quick. I actually have plenty of experience in internships and applying because during the pandemic, I applied, a lot of companies were opening up the opportunity in different states to apply for internships. And I was very much into the NASA and SpaceX and Blue Origin, all of them trying to get some sort of internship with them. And it opened up all of the facilities all over the country. One way to do that is go on to usajobs.gov, but another way was going onto LinkedIn itself. I first went snooping, as Helene has suggested, is following people from those companies. I connected with some people in their HR, then I typed in the search engine NASA internships, and people with those titles who are part of the internship programs were in there. So whatever, Julia, Space Geek, yes, definitely. Whatever industry that you're looking for, if you're wanting to look for a specific industry, type in that industry's name and internships. You can see individuals, if they have, those companies have internship programs. You can look at the jobs that are, sometimes internships are listed under the jobs features. So there's lots of different places to look at. And more importantly, you can post to your feed. You can post feed on LinkedIn and someone put a hashtag in there. Someone might click on internships, hashtag internships, and you might be the first post that pops up. That could be a looking for internship in this field, need connections, need to open up networking. So it's a great opportunity to do that. There's different ways to do it, but you can type in internship.
We're a good pair.
Yeah. Plenty of experience of getting denies for internships until NSCS.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Courtney came to us as an intern. She's a member. She came to us as an intern, and now she is a full-time employee.
Yeah. Persistence works. Getting your name out there, it works. It honestly does. So.
All right. How about we go to the next slide? Okay. So what is the true value of LinkedIn? Well, this is where you network. This is where you build your professional network. So that can be hard, right? It's like, how do I do that? What do I do? Well, go into NSCS, search NSCS, and look for people who are in similar fields that you want to get into, who are working for companies that you want to potentially work at. Look for people who have like interests and reach out to them. So you are looking for commonalities. You're not asking for a favor. You're looking for commonalities. So for example, you want to work for SpaceX. So what do? You look for people who work at SpaceX. You look for people who you have something in common with. Like, oh, I see you went to so-and-so's school. I went there, would love to connect with you. That's how you ask to connect. Always put a note in. You can either do it without a note or do it with a note, but if you have a note, you're most likely to get a response. But don't ask for a job. Don't say, I'm looking for a job, can you help me? Just say, oh, I see blah, 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 would love to connect with you. And then periodically send them a note. When they post something, respond to their posts. Just keep it light at first and then start talking to them and say, hey, would you ever be interested in having a brief conversation about your experience once you got out of school working for SpaceX? Would love to hear how you did it. People love to talk about themselves, right? So if you say, I want to come work for your company, will you help me get a job? You're going to have crickets. But you start building the commonalities, and you start reaching out to people based on those commonalities. So it's education, it's the career field that they're in, it is people who are posting things that you find interesting. You'd want to post to that. It's other NSCS members that are on there. I mean, I don't even know how many alumni we have at NSCS. Courtney, you might know. I'm not sure the exact number, but it's hundreds of thousands, if not more. So there's a lot of people out there that you already have a commonality with. Reach out to them. Reach out to them, connect with them, and start building that network. Now, people will say, how much time does this take? Well, how much time do you spend on TikTok? How much time do you spend on Instagram? I know you guys probably don't use Facebook as much. I use Facebook because I'm old. But how much time are you spending on all of these things? And now, when you're spending time on LinkedIn, you're building your professional career. So spend as much time as you think you need to. I don't think you need to spend hours on LinkedIn a week, maybe a half hour. To start off, it's going to take you a little bit longer because you're building your foundation, right? You got to get your picture, you got to get your about, you got to get this and that in there. There is a way when you're setting up your LinkedIn, by the way, that you could set it on private so that no one will see that you're in the process of building it until you're ready to release it. You can do that, or you could put it in. If you're not connected with people, they're not going to see that you're creating it and building it. But think about doing that while you're doing it. So when you first start off, it's going to take you more. It's going to take you more time to build it. It's going to take you time to figure out what you're going to post and what you're going to say. And then go in, look at your posts. Look who's commenting. Sometimes I post things and people will just give me a thumbs up and I thank them. I say, hey, thanks for taking the time to look at my post and for responding. That's it. That raises my algorithm. Sometimes I'll look at someone else's posts and I'm like, love this post. I really believe in what they're saying. Builds my algorithm. So everything you do is about algorithm, algorithm, algorithm. You want to build your algorithm. You want to build your network. And that's all about looking for commonalities. I've had people reach out to me lately to see if I would like to be on their podcast based on the things that I post. And the only reason is because my algorithms have gone up and they start seeing me. So then they start saying, hey, we'd like to talk to you about this. So it's about really building the relationship. And think of it this way, you don't build a relationship with someone by saying, hey, can I borrow money for lunch? But you build relationship by saying, have you gone to this restaurant? It's really great. Why don't we go catch lunch together there? That is how you build a relationship. You can build it on LinkedIn through those commonalities and just reach out and be consistent. So say my first month, I'm going to spend an hour a week on LinkedIn. And if that hour a week is going to be an obstacle that's going to keep you from doing it, I'm going to spend 30 minutes a week on LinkedIn. 30 minutes is better than nothing. So just get there and start doing things to build your network, okay? Once you start getting responses from people and people start responding back to you, then when you're ready and you're looking for your internship, you already have your network that you could reach out to. You already have a presence that people are going to see. And when it's time to look for a job, you have a network that you can just say, hey, just want to say that I'm looking for a job. I'm about to graduate and I'm really excited to be starting my career. I would really appreciate any connections that any of you can help assist with. Nothing wrong with that, but you don't do that when you're starting out. Okay? Any questions on this?
We did have a question about the networking in regards to connecting with people on the platform through common interest or whatnot. Is a connect different than a follow?
So follow means as they post, you're going to see their post. A connection is you send them an invitation and say, I'd like to connect with you. And then you put a little note in as to why. Sometimes I follow people, so I'll see their posts, but it doesn't build a connection because it could be, 30,000 people following them. I connect, so then I could go back to someone and say, hey, when they accept my connection, thanks for connecting with me. And I usually say, would love to learn more about you and your business and what you do. And some people take me up on it, some don't. That's okay. But for the small percentage of people who do, I talk to them, and sometimes things come my way because of that. So
Judy asks, can you please share your slides for future reference? I will answer this in a way to help you out with that is we are recording the session, so we will have direct link to our YouTube channel with this link to this video, but would you be okay with sharing these slides as well?
Yes.
Okay. One more question. Would adding family or friends to my connections help build my network, but not just them?
It depends. So if your family is in a career that's similar to yours, or even if they have the same name, if there's no way to really connect, then it works. If you're just starting out and you want to start doing that to have people in your connection and to have people start responding to what you're posting, yes, you could do that. But I strongly suggest that you go outside of that network and build your network. Unless, you have a family member who is in the same field you want to get into, or has a role and you value what they have to say, then absolutely do it. Like my son, I think we're connected on LinkedIn, but he doesn't post that often on LinkedIn, and he doesn't ever look at my stuff. I'll be like, hey, did you see my post on LinkedIn? He's like, huh? He doesn't even. So, but when he first started out, I think he linked in with me, and we had different names, and that's why he did it. And he was like, don't say anything about being my mom. I said, I'm not. But so you can, but push yourself to go outside your family, I guess is all I'm trying to say.
Stephanie asks, how can I use LinkedIn to build my network with a theology degree?
Oh boy. Okay. Have you searched to see how many people are on LinkedIn with a theology degree, and what is it, part two of the question, what is it that you want to do with your theology degree? And I'm hoping you'll respond back.
Yeah, I'm waiting for her to write back. She's probably gotta type it up.
Yep.
Maybe I would suggest maybe individuals that go to the same school that you go to, if you're studying that degree program from that school, maybe go to your school's LinkedIn, because most schools do, universities and colleges do have a LinkedIn profile as well, or page. You could go to those pages and look at their people.
Yeah, and if you don't know what you want to do, look at what other people with your degree have done and where they're doing it, and then connect to them.
She said, I have not searched, but possibly spiritual counseling or working in the mental health facility.
Oh my God, awesome. Okay. So there you have a look at, yeah. So I would search theology degree, mental health workers or something like that, and see what comes up, and then start seeing who's in there.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that with a psych degree. Of course, I love that.
Judy has a very, very good point. Stephanie says, thank you. Judy has a very good question point. It's not really relevant, but it is relevant when it comes to the different versions of LinkedIn. There's the free and the paid. Which one do you recommend, and is the paid version worth it?
So I have a paid version because I have a business.
I have a paid version because I wanted to use the LinkedIn Learning.
Okay. So if you're going to use it, then it's worthwhile. I would say start off with the free version.
Yep.
Until you feel that you're in a place, because I don't know what you pay, Courtney, but I pay like $68 a month for it. And I don't think it's necessary to start building when you're starting to build your LinkedIn, unless you want to do some of the other things like the LinkedIn Learning with it.
I originally, when I first got on the platform, did the free. And then I was starting to really do during the pandemic, I really wanted to get those connections. And with the free one, you get a limited instant direct messaging through the free one. And I would message individuals and I couldn't add in my personal email to tell them to communicate through that platform through the free at that time. I don't know if they've changed things since then, but I decided to pay for the regular member or the first paid one, and it's a year subscription. It is a bit pricey. I think it's in the 100, 200 price range a year. But I found it very beneficial when it came to looking for jobs. In that instance, it was beneficial because I could see who was looking at my profile.
Yeah.
Kind of get that big brother feeling in the way because you get to see if someone views your profile that you don't get with a free one. And those are sometimes very intriguing to know who's looking at your profile. It gives you an idea that if you're hitting that algorithm for one with post, and it also with the paid version, I believe we also get reports of searches that you show up in. So companies, businesses like yours do search for people, and sometimes you can figure out that you came up in a search for this particular company and the person that was searching was this title. That's very intriguing, especially if your favorite company, you show up in those searches for those favorite companies that you want to work for. And that's a good way to use that knowledge of reaching someone. They're already looking at my profile. I showed up. Here we go. Here's my opportunity. LinkedIn Learning is one more addition to the paid user one. I think it's very, very beneficial. They have certain topics that you can, and they have a variety of topics on there, but certain topics, say for instance, that you are going for an HR degree, but you want to learn a little bit about branding or targeting audience. They have LinkedIn Learnings where you get certifications from LinkedIn that you completed those courses, and it teaches you things in real life order, in that sense of what you learn in your class might be the history of it or up to a certain time frame, but these are in this time, in this world, marketing wise. So I personally find it very beneficial. However, if you're just wanting to connect, free is good.
Yeah, I would say when you're just starting out, go with the free and then start looking at what value you would get from upgrading and then upgrade. But I would not worry about paying now if you have no presence on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There's no purpose.
Agreed.
Build your LinkedIn, start working through it. If you want, look at my LinkedIn and feel free to connect with me. I have actually had students who reach out to me and say, hey, I saw your webinar. I'm going for a job interview. It's this position. What kind of questions should I ask? And I usually, to be perfectly honest, I'll set up time and I'll sit with them and I'll help them think about some questions that they can ask and what they should think about thinking through so that they have an answer for it in case they get asked the question. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and connect. I'd love to connect with you guys.
Judy says, thank you.
You're welcome.
Diana, if you just type in Helene Scott, she should pop up.
And my company is Life Unlock Coaching.
That was the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah, okay, and it's not a mistake. Someone on LinkedIn actually contacted me and said there was a spelling error in my company name. And I was like, no, it's not an error. It's purposeful, but hey, thanks. But she reached out to me. I responded to her. She responded to me. I responded to her. And we periodically have conversation on LinkedIn. And it helps both our algorithms.
There you go.
There you go. Anything else? Questions? Or I guess I should say other questions.
I don't see anything coming up right now.
So I know that we're talking about LinkedIn and the importance of this, and particularly if you don't have a job and you don't have work experience or volunteer experience, you have a great platform to do that with NSCS. So if you're not active in your chapter, find out who are the people in your chapter who are, find out what you need to do. If you don't have a chapter on campus, find out how you could get more involved and use this as a way to build your experience, because through NSCS membership and activity, you're building your leadership. You're building leadership skills and abilities that you might not have had before. You might be building project management by helping with an event. There's many, many ways that you could start building your resume without having a job. So I strongly suggest that you speak to your chapters, your on-school chapters, the advisor on campus, or Courtney, where else can they find out about it? Is it through, if they don't have an active chapter, how can they find out more about where they could get involved?
That's a wonderful question. So for individuals who have chapters on campus, you can actually connect with them on Scholar Central. However, if you are attending certain schools that don't have a current active chapter or don't have a chapter at all, you will automatically be a part of the NSCS Global chapter, and you can connect with thousands of individuals who are part of that global chapter through Scholar Central. We describe Scholar Central as an exclusive LinkedIn meets Facebook platform. So it gives you the accessibility of Facebook where you can post videos, pictures, and things like that. But it also has the potential for networking, as you suggested, practicing with networking and using it, and you also get to connect your LinkedIn profile to your Scholar Central profile too. So people can access and contact you through that as well.
That's great. So
we did have a question from Kaylee about.
Before you give me the question, I just want to say, use this experience to build your network and what your skill set and what you could offer. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. This one's from Kaylee. It's a big one. It's a big question. I have noticed that the company I am currently working my way up is not innovating at a level I would prefer with longevity. Would you maybe recommend reaching out to a surrounding company that are innovating at higher levels?
There is no reason not to.
There you go.
Yeah, one thing that I always suggest, like if you have experience in a certain field and you want to stay in that field, where you're working, what are the competitors? And if you don't have a non-compete, which chances are you won't, reach out to them. If you have non-compete, that's a different story. And you would know if you had a non-compete because you had to sign it when you started.
The HR is coming out.
Sorry.
Beatrice asked, I do school online and this is a question probably for me. I do school online and my school is out of town. I see if there is a chapter in my school, my town. I'm not quite sure, Beatrice, exactly the question, but I'm going to assume what the question is if you are an online school, but your school is also a brick and mortar school and they're in a different town or different state, there may be a chapter for that school that does they do a lot of events, both hybrid. So they'll do their in-person events, but they'll stream it for our non-traditional students, online students to attend. My best suggestion is for anyone that is confused about chapters and if they have their school has a chapter or not, you can reach out to the NSCS member success team at nscs@nscs.org, or you can go onto the main website of NSCS at nscs.org and click on one of the tabs that says chapters. If you click on that tab, it will and scroll all the way down to the bottom. There are lists of schools that currently have chapters by state. So I would recommend looking there first before contacting the NSCS team. Kayla asked, I think this is a follow-up to Kaylee's statement about competitor. I am in the healthcare field and wanting to go towards administration and start strong focus towards industrial organization psychology. Uh-oh, watch out now.
What was the question though?
No question, it was a follow-up statement to one of your questions.
Yeah, so, if you haven't signed a non-compete and if you're going into something that is not competitive, then absolutely reach out to them. And good luck with organizational psych.
She said, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it. That's all that's in right now.
All right, well, Courtney, I think we make a great duo and we should do it together again.
Definitely, I like that.
Yeah, and thank you all for being so engaged and involved. I've really enjoyed this. I look forward to some of you connecting with me on LinkedIn. If I don't get back to you right away, I will. I have kind of a busy week, so I don't know how much I'll be able to do it this week, but I will get back to you next week, I promise. And thank you for your time. I know you're all so busy. And good luck with school.
And if you have any follow-up questions for Helene, you can always message us at the member success team. That's nscs@nscs.org in the inbox or the message that you're sending to the NSCS team. Just let them know that you have follow-up questions for today's ScholarCast, and they will forward those to myself or to Helene, and you may get an email from Miss Helene herself. So we appreciate you all for joining us. Once again, this session was recorded, so we should have the video to you all within the next 24 to 48 hours. You'll get you'll receive an email from us saying thank you for attending. And as always, thank you for being a part of NSCS. Helene, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge about LinkedIn. It is a very confusing platform sometimes with conflicting information, but I think that what you presented for us and the reminders and encouragement is going to help our members and our alumni network and grow. So appreciate it. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you all. I hope you find the internship and the career path that you're looking for.
Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.